Of course, Joe Burrow is going to go first overall. This was an interesting note from it was Albert Breer. Albert Breer on MMQB reported today that so every draft prospect can spend up to 3 1-hour calls per week with a team. So, for example, the Bengals can 3 times have a 1-hour phone call max per week with Joe Burrow. And this probably won't surprise you, but Albert Breer is reporting that the Bengals every week have maxed out their time with Joe Burrow. Obviously, he's going to be the first pick in the draft. He's going to be their franchise quarterback, and they are making as best use of this time as they possibly can to get to know him and to discuss whatever it is that they might be discussing within the rules and how their franchise might move forward. But again, Breer is reporting that the Bengals and Burrow have maxed out their allotted time with each other every week throughout this entire process. Speaking of Breer, and it makes sense for this reason. So this was back on April 1st. So you're talking almost 2 weeks ago. On April 1st, Breer did the MMQB podcast, and he had Jordan Palmer on with him. If you remember, Jordan Palmer, of course, is Carson Palmer's younger brother who played quarterback in the league for a hot minute, but also is now a trainer out in California. And Burrow is one of the prospects training with Jordan Palmer. So Palmer is on the MMQB podcast and was talking about Joe Burrow with relation to a couple of different things. And he talked about like their plan for Burrow has been preparing him to be ready to go from jump in Cincinnati.
So Joe's different. From the day he got here, and this was always the plan, we were not preparing for the combine or for his pro day. We were getting ready for his rookie year. So even in the beginning, I had him ease into throwing, and I had him workout-wise, like for running, jumping, and lifting, I had him working out with Sam, Josh, Kyle, and Stidham because there was no point. He wasn't going to run the L drill or the 40, so I didn't even have him lift and run with the other draft guys. I don't want him wasting time doing those drills if you can work on mobility and rotation and your base and your core. And so he basically did the whole time, coronavirus aside, his plan was that of a guy coming off of his first year, of a veteran workout. He did all that stuff with those guys. And so, again, this coronavirus, I think Joe's like the least affected guy by all this because we got through everything. As I mentioned earlier, we were going to spend a week preparing for his pro day. Everything else that we've been doing has been getting him ready for his rookie year, breaking down the different coverages and different divisions, understanding how the league works, like just getting him ready to play.
Again, Jordan Palmer on the MMQB podcast. Play the beginning of this again, Musso, if you would. Again, this is the guy training Joe Burrow, who's essentially saying, we didn't prepare him at all for the combine because we know he wasn't doing any of that stuff. We're preparing him to be a starter week 1 of his rookie year.
So Joe's different. From the day he got here, and this was always the plan, we were not preparing for the combine or for his pro day. We were getting ready for his rookie year.
Boom. I mean, like, you can say whatever you want, right? And Joe Burrow is doing all the things you're supposed to do, which is say, I'm grateful to be able to go in the draft. I want to go somewhere where I can win. Just saying all the right stuff. But actions speak louder than words. And there's his trainer saying, we were never preparing for the combine. We've always been preparing to be a starting quarterback week 1 in the NFL, which is going to happen. One more, by the way. This was interesting. Again, this was on the MMQB podcast. Jordan Palmer with Albert Breer back on April the 1st. Talked a little bit more about Joe Burrow's training and how it got influenced by COVID-19.
So with Joe, we kind of got through everything except for when I kind of shift to like very specific pro day training. He really only left like a week early. And that next week, we were just going to really specifically be working on the pro day script. So I think Joe has handled this process really well, but it was all normal. It basically his got cut a week short, and the only thing he's missing is a pro day, and that's not going to affect anything for him. And so I think it's been pretty seamless, and he's got homework assignments in terms of just learning more about the league and breaking down teams, and I think he's going to be positioned to have a great rookie year, which is how I've always felt. It
does make a lot of sense, doesn't it? Like if there's a degree of certainty that you're not, and there's maybe only a prospect or a couple prospects that can actually do this in their pre-draft process. But when you know where you're going in the draft and you don't have to worry about impressing teams through the draft process. You can just work on being a better football player. So rookie minicamp, go. OTAs, go. Training camp, go. Week 1, you're in. Makes a lot of sense.